All right, what's up, you guys? This is Chill with Bill. Hey, look, Candace Owens, Destiny. I've been waiting for this for a minute, because I've listened to this guy. I mean, I've listened to both of them for a while, but I've been listening to him for a long time, and I just don't agree with most of what he says. And then, of course, we watched his situation melt down on social media, and it happens, to the best of us. But everybody said, whatever they said, and they're past all that, and so that's cool. But Candace Owens, she ain't playing around. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not she cooked Destiny in this. And we're not going to listen to all of it in one shot. We're going to have to do a couple of hi-yows because it's an hour and 15 minutes. I ain't trying to do all that, but she hit some pretty good points. So we're going to go ahead and let's just peep it. And see what y'all think, man. Candace or Destiny?
You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. What are you doing here? What's going on?
I just did PBD, Patrick Bet-David. Mm-hmm. They know you over there, right? Are you laughing?
Maybe. I know. I'm good. Do you know Adam over there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just asked Adam. He was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know Adam. Me and Adam are cool. I'm not as much sure about the PBD guy. I'm pretty... I'm a pretty far left guy, and I disagree with a lot of stuff they say in a pretty crazy way. So.
They got both on that show. That's why it's so great. But I just did something with Chris Cuomo. He couldn't be further left. That's what I just did.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, but when we bring on left guys, it's usually to roast the fuck out of them. So.
No, that's not what happened at all.
Oh, that might not have happened this time. That's what I've seen. When I had Anthony Weiner on, it was that. When I've seen other.
I saw the Como thing, and I mean, he was holding his own. So I don't know, I don't agree with him, but I mean, he was holding his own. He wasn't getting bombarded.
The left-leaning guys go on. It's usually like a rake him over.
Well, one of them is on the left, right?
Which guy?
So, I really thought that Adam just said I've never voted for a Republican, but I might vote Republican.
I think Adam is fair.
Yeah.
I think Adam is fair generally from what I've seen, but he's like center at best. And I'm not even like a communist type guy, but I mean, like Adam is like pretty center. Like he's like I just don't think he's behind all the Trump stuff.
But why laugh if I'm like, I just went Patrick Bet-David? It's like, haha, like what's that?
Oh, sorry. In my world, there's a lot. There's always like a lot of drama and people hitting each other behind. So I just laugh because it's funny because I'm not sure if those guys hate me or not. I've been on their show once. They seem like cool people, but the Patrick guy has said kind of weird things about me or my fan base before. So it's kind of like a funny. It's just a funny thing. There wasn't anything deeper to that, I promise.
Oh, okay. No, I was just curious. I was like, because you would go on a platform with someone on the right, presumably.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because you said, because I'm on the left when I asked you. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, why? We need more conversations. It doesn't need to be, I'm on the left, I'm on the right. It's like, what do you actually think? What do you actually believe?
Sure, I agree, for sure, yeah. What are you talking about mainly over the past week or two? What's the stuff that's captured your attention, your eyes the most?
Man, I talk about everything on my show. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest topic for me has been the Diddy lawsuit. It's the craziest thing that's come out, I think, since Jeffrey Epstein. And it's definitely significant because a lot of the work that I do is talking about or I guess really asking the question is what's happened to black culture? Because this is not the black culture that I grew up with. And the Diddy lawsuit potentially answers a lot of those questions. So,
do you say where you grew up?
I was born in White Plains, New York, and I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay. What can you catch us up on the P. Diddy lawsuit? I haven't been in this area as much.
Are you kidding?
My mind.
Yeah, how do you not know what's going on with P. Diddy? I mean, you might not even know, like, whatever, it's fine.
And I've done Israel Palestine for the last 4 years or 4 months, and then like a whole bunch of red pill stuff before that. So my mind is not.
So, in case you guys have not seen it, you can go over to my YouTube channel. I've been covering it, and if you're there, definitely subscribe. But so essentially, at the end of last year, Diddy was dating that girl Cassie for a long time, about 10 years.
Okay.
And she started making allegations that Diddy was very into some very sexually deviant things, that I would say.
Okay.
And forced her to do a lot of things against her will, or drugs, whatever. She files this lawsuit, and basically overnight, I'm obviously being a bit hyperbolic, but he pays her off. So it ends. And then Cat Williams kind of alludes to the fact that more stuff is going to come out in 2024, and then a producer whose name is Rodney drops a lawsuit, and he alleges to have hundreds of hours of footage backing up his claims, and in the lawsuit he actually dropped pictures. So it wasn't just this, because you can always have a frivolous lawsuit, it can mean nothing. And what essentially his lawsuit suggests, allegedly, just for protection here, is that there's a blackmail ring in Hollywood. Diddy is a gangster. On top of Diddy sits Lucian Grange, who is the CEO of Universal Music Group. And this was, for me, one of the wildest parts. He tells a story about one night where Diddy got mad at somebody and just shot them in like the stomach and the hip. He shows the pictures of the blood all around the bathroom because he was right there when the person got shot, and he allegedly went to his knees and tried to help the person. It was Diddy and his son who allegedly shot him. But they said that there's one person that you call when something like that happens, and that guy's name is like Fahim something, and he will come clean it up. The LAPD will write a fake police report, and he shows like how the news then reported that the shooting happened outside and then it got wiped under the rug. And what's interesting is that guy who you call, the security guy, was the same security person who was one of only 2 people there when Michael Jackson died. So it's now reopened, all the Michael Jackson stuff. Super interesting. A lot of stuff that I would say, a lot of proof presented in these documents. Like I said, there's a lot of photos included. And if what he is spelling out is correct, then it's basically a homosexual ring that works by blackmails. They host these, what he calls freak-offs, and they drug people and they get them to sleep with a minor or do something, that you wouldn't want publicized. And then they own you, right? Because it's like, well, we have you on camera doing this, and so you're going to say or do whatever I want. So
Hey, I don't know personally if exactly what she is talking about personally exists, right? Like I've never heard of that, but this stuff is happening, right? Like it's 110% happening. Like I've been in the music industry for a long time. I've DJed in a lot of clubs. I've been all over the U.S. I've been in multiple countries, right? And this shit is happening, pardon my language, like 100%. So I don't know about the facts of what she's talking about in specific, but this kind of thing where the powerful and the rich in these different kinds of, in music, in television, in movies, you know what I mean, in those spaces or whatever, man, they be doing some wild stuff, and like stuff with minors, like that's, of course they're doing that. We all know, of course they're doing that shit, right? Because they're crazy and they can get away with that kind of crap. This other stuff she's talking about, homosexual stuff or gay stuff, whatever. Like, of course they're doing it. Of course, and everybody sweeps that shit under the rug because, hey, don't want to fuck up the bag, right? Like, boo. That's bullshit.
Very much like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
Oh, and I was looking to think up about Cassie, right? So they settled the next day. And I do remember it being that quick. It came out, boom, and then the next day it was over with. I'm just trying to find out, and y'all will have to, maybe somebody's got a real number, or maybe the number don't exist, and they were just kind of, I seem to recall hearing a number, but I don't remember what it was, and maybe it came out, maybe it didn't, maybe it was all bull. Let's see, probably much better than 30 million. That's what I heard, right? So, but I don't know anything, you know what I mean? Who knows how much it really was, but if it's real, if she coming out talking about, the R word and like abuse and all this stuff, that's money. That's money. And if he settled the next day, it's over with. He's just trying to plug the holes. The ship is fucking sinking, right? You just try.
Gotcha. Are these in indictments, or are these just like affidavits or statements to the media? Is any of this stuff like gone to court yet?
It's the lawsuit that he filed. So we're reading the lawsuit documents directly.
This is a civil lawsuit, I'm guessing?
Yes. Okay. He's suing Universal Music Group. He's suing Lucian Grange, personally. He alleges that Lucian Grange and Diddy are in a relationship by saying that like they disappear into Diddy's room and for hours, and like this is the stuff that I've seen. I was groomed for sex. Like essentially he wasn't a gay man, but then Diddy found him when he was young. These are the allegations he's making. Again, a lot of photos like of other rappers. He's named like Cuba Gooding Jr., who's an actor.
Yeah.
Hey, Cuba Gooding Jr. Yo, that dude, he's been in some great movies, right? Is he a great actor? Maybe. What was that one? Men with Honor or something like that. The diver one. Yeah, that was great. But he's been in a lot of them, right? Wasn't he in Pearl Harbor? Yep. So the diver won Pearl Harbor, I think. And yeah, because he was the gunner, right? He was on the ship, and well, he wasn't even a gunner. He was a chef or something, a cook or something like that, and then he just took on the gun or something. I don't know. I'm tripping.
It's a lot.
Is there has any of this stuff like leaked to the media in terms of like pictures or strong hard evidence, or are these mainly just in the charging documents or the civil case documents so far?
That's also what's really interesting is that yes, it's being covered, but not in the way that it should be covered. The fact that you don't know about it, to me, is crazy, because we've never seen someone that with hundreds of hours of footage putting in photos like, here's a picture of a drugs that I have to carry at all times to keep Diddy high. Here's the name of the woman that gets the drugs. Here's a drug dealer. Here's a photo of me with this person. Here's the blood on the floor that night. It's like we've never seen this much proof to make those claims. So it's definitely something to watch.
Somebody said, I just see in chat, somebody said over 100 million to the first civil suit that got settled in less than 24 hours. Is that true?
What's that? Over 100 million to...
So they're talking about Cassie, right? I didn't see nothing that said 100 million. I heard rumors, are over 30 million, but 100 million of it's like, yeah, of course he probably paid that kind of money because he's got it like that. But how many times can you do that? How many times you gonna be able to do that? Because you're gonna have people coming out of woodwork right now for $5. They coming to get you for a dime bag.
The first civil suit that got settled in less than 24 hours.
Did that happen with this?
I have no idea.
You might be talking about Cassie, because that got settled pretty quickly.
Oh,
and,
gotcha.
And yeah, that Diddy's basically just at the top of a gang, and the person that's above him is Lucien Grange, which is just wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think? You made a mention that this might be an indicator to things that have happened with Black culture. What do you mean by that, I guess?
So there has been just a very obvious corrosion in Black culture. Like the music that I grew up in, I was listening to The Temptations, Lauryn Hill, like it was all about like family, love. It was real talent. And then something just really shifted, and it all became about derogatory, debased gangster rap. And it's to change.
100%. I agree with her 100%. I'm a little bit older than her, but we used to listen to all the same stuff, I'm sure. And like I was one of the degenerate children. Like one of my first CDs that I ever got, which is crazy. I had a bunch of music, but I didn't have no CDs, right? And one of the first CDs that I ever got that I bought that I wanted myself was Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style. Man, that's crazy, right? And from there on, man, and if y'all remember the album cover, it was cartooned, right? And you could look it up on whatever, but it was cartooned, and it was like, the dog pound, the dogs, and like female dogs, like hella like half naked or whatever, like it just weird depictions, right? And I remember how I used to think, I'm like, damn, this is pretty sexual in nature. And I was a kid, I'm just like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And like, I see where all the music went from and even the hip hop back then was nowhere near what it is right now, man. Y'all are crazy. It's on a whole nother level. Weird.
Change that I've noted in a lot of my commentary. And, I think other people have, like I asked the question, there's a really, in my view, disgusting artist, just in terms of the stuff that she publishes and the photos that she publishes, named Sexy Red, who they're now making a thing, right? Who makes the decision to sign a Sexy Red? You're telling me you have all the money and all the talent at your fingertips, and you sign a woman who at her baby shower, 9 months pregnant, however pregnant she was twerking and had her butt cheeks in, like somebody's face was inside of her butt cheeks. That to me is very intentional, because you're not signing her based on talent.
And she, she has to emphasize she was pregnant when she did that, right? She's hella pregnant. Like that was the point, right? And she was doing, I remember seeing like pictures up in like before she was about to like had a baby or something like that in the hospital. I don't remember if they were like blockchain. Yo, Sexy Red is crazy that they would even sign. Because if you think about back in the day, how talented you had to be to become a musician, right? To be able to go on the road and perform and even have the opportunity to be recognized and seen and heard, never mind get paid, right? Make bank off of it or whatever. Like how talented you used to have to be, you know what I'm saying? In order to be able to do that, like, what in the world is going on? What is happening? And I've been, for a long time, I've been blaming like the younger generation, or the like, what are y'all listening to? Like, y'all really like this, blah blah blah. And then I just come to find out it's not y'all fault. It's not y'all fault. This is brainwashing. This is propaganda. This is like, they're doing this on purpose. There's no reason why a Sexy Red should be performing in sold out shows, doing with Drake and with all these artists, and like doing all this and making a bunch of money, and like just is degeneracy, right? And we've seen it with back in the day with we're not even back. Well, I guess it's back in the day now, right? With the Cardis and whatnot. Like, I remember when it was like Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, you know what I mean? TLC. Like, these were it is so weird. It is so weird now that they would just be all about promoting this degeneracy and stuff, and people don't even see it, man. You know what I mean? It's not even your fault. We're being sold this shit.
Talent. You're not signing her based on following. You're signing her because it's filth, and you're perpetuating this filth into my community. So it's just something that I've noticed, something that I talk about often, that we're intentionally being sold crack, it feels like,
So I'm trying to think of which direction I want to go.
Now, the funny thing, and the reason why we want to talk about this, is because Destiny, like, he gets so weird. He'll be like looking up at the sky, you know what I mean? Like, you could tell he's just like not even really taking it in. He don't care. And so it's just weird when he debates Candace, right? Like, I've seen him do this with other people, but she ain't having it. She'll never be putting up with the bull. You know what I mean? And let's just watch.
Any direction you want. I'm an open book.
Yeah, you're fine. There are okay. So there are like two kind of different ways of viewing this, and I feel like you fall more to one side, and then I'll go my side, and then we can kind of see if we can iron out or figure where we are at. I guess in the middle here. I feel like when you look at the evolution of, when we say like degenerate black culture or degenerate black music, I think we're generally talking about like the beginning of hip hop and rap, and then kind of the evolution of that going forward, coming away from like the R&B singers and everybody like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, right?
Yeah. But hip hop isn't always filth. But yeah, I get your point.
But that seems like
we're
the general.
Generalizing, yeah.
It feels like when I look at music, or if I look at music that people create, often
I just want to point out artists like Rakim, KRS-One, Tribe Called Quest. You know what I mean? Like, these guys from my day, the new era. Like when hip hop was new and it was booming and blossoming. Like, this is not what y'all got today. It's like it's been manipulated and warped and distorted to just rank out dollars.
Oftentimes the music is a reflection of their circumstances. And you can see, especially as America and the black communities became more conscientious maybe of the ghettos that they'd been kind of pushed into, or the policing situations that they'd had to be a part of, or drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, et cetera. And then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect those conditions. And then those pieces of art that get created, especially the music, end up being like worldwide popular. Like, the most popular genre of music in the world is like hip hop and rap. So when I look at people pushing certain stuff today, I'm like, okay, well, want to get involved. Obviously, the money men, the people on top, they want to. When I look at music, or if I look at music that people create, oftentimes the music is a reflection of their circumstances. And you can see, especially as America and the black communities became more conscientious maybe of the ghettos that they'd been kind of pushed into, or the policing situations that they'd had to be a part of, or drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, et cetera. And then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect those conditions. And then those pieces of art that get created, especially the music, end up being like worldwide popular. Like, the most popular genre of music in the world is like hip hop and rap. So when I look at people pushing certain stuff today, I'm like, okay, well, we got two really big, in my opinion, I went to school for music. I don't know if you talk about the saxophone or whatever. So we had two really big contributions to the world of music from America. One was jazz, that came basically from the black community. And then the second was like rap and hip hop. these forms of music become popular. People see that it's popular. They want to get involved. Obviously, the money men, the people on top, they want to kind of continue to push this because it's popular and everybody around the world consumes it. I feel like there are a lot of market forces at work that kind of perpetuate this and keep this happening. And that feels pretty satisfying to me to explain what's going on. So when we ask, like, why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks? Because, well, for whatever reason, that's like what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now. And then on the other side, it feels like from people, I don't want to just say conservatives, but I would say broadly speaking, I guess I'll say on your side in general, it feels like there's this idea that there's this much more intentional or like malevolent force working behind the scenes.
Yes, there is. And so I'm going to push back on what you're suggesting here. You're suggesting that this reflects the community and they're sharing their stories in a way that makes sense. That's completely not true. Okay, WAP does not reflect the circumstances that Black people are living in. You know, singing about your vagina and how hard it's getting pounded is not the circumstance of living in the hood. I come from nothing. It's not that did not make me feel closer to the circumstances that I grew up in. And unfortunately, that's actually what people are telling Black Americans. Like, actually, it's working the other way. You're putting something, you know, your eyes and your ears are the windows to the soul. And you're basically, when you celebrate someone, and I'm using Cardi B here as an example because I think people are probably more familiar with her than they are with Sexy Red. When you put someone like that on the Grammys stage, which is, again, a decision being made. When I was growing up, the best, most talented people were on the Grammy stage. It was something you could watch with your family. And you still had poor people. You still had, you still had poor people. You still had people that were living in the hood. Okay, we didn't need somebody talking about their vagina in order to feel seen. So what you're doing is you're setting the stage for younger girls who aspire to celebrities to say, okay, well, if I mimic that behavior, I too can become famous. What you're actually doing is you're setting the idols that people are going to look up to and people are going to think this is what I should aspire to. So it's actually working in the exact opposite way.
Can I ask a question? In that like evolution of things.
Yeah.
So if we look,
and it's not just in hip hop either, man. You know, controversial opinion maybe. But that's what they did with Taylor Swift, right? Like, you know, see how popular she is, how big, you know what I mean? Billions of dollars, this and that. This is not on accident, right? Like, this is an agenda. This is control. This is manipulation. This is to change a population, right? To gather votes. This is like so many things, and you know, just because, you know, we're doing it, or it's happening to Black folks with Sexy Red and hip hop, right? Like, there are other sects of the world, right, where this same kind of thing is happening.
Look at like WAP in particular. Hasn't it generally been the case that music is always kind of pushing these sexual boundaries? So it might have been Elvis grabbing his crotch and dancing. It might have been Michael Jackson's dancing is incredibly suggestive, if you've seen that. It might have been in Woodstock, all the loser hippies talking about love, sex, and rock and roll and drugs. Wouldn't like WAP just be kind of like the next?
I agree that sex has always been like, or sexiness, or, you know, that kind of thing has always been in music, right? Some of the greatest and biggest performers, you know, when you look at their dances, when you look at a lot of their videos or their performances, there's a lot of sexual innuendo because, you know, sex is sold. But Michael Jackson wasn't on stage selling sex. His music was amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, his voice, his harmonies, everything about the way that he made music was meticulous and very well thought out and put together in a package that, you know, is untouched today. You know what I'm saying? And he did a lot of it himself. That's the other thing. Yes, he had other musicians that helped him, did all these things or whatever, but he created and pointed the finger on a lot of the stuff that he put out, right, on most of it. And so there's a difference. You can't say that these are the same thing, right? Because that's not even close to the stratosphere, you know what I mean, of what is being promoted today. People today can't even compare.
Next evolution in a long chain of...
pushing boundaries is not degeneracy, okay? And so here's what I'll say to you. Why don't you pull up the lyrics to WAP and read them right now?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Why would I need to do
Go.
that?
It's just Woodstock. We're just pushing. We're just pushing the boundaries a little bit. You probably have never even read the lyrics to WAP.
Poke.
I think I did because I think Ben Shapiro had a huge thing about
he
it.
couldn't have said. You may have seen him reading the sanitized version of WAP, not the one that is not sanitized. Like the sanitized one, which is still bad, that she can perform at the Grammys, is what he read. You should read the lyrics to WAP before you make commentary that it's a reflection of what Black Americans are living through, or it's just somebody that's pushing a boundary. It's not that.
How do you explain the fact that like WAP was like a #1 like worldwide hit then?
Because what I said to you is that they are artificially creating artists at this point. There's
So he said he was a music major. Okay, this is where like I have all these issues with like Destiny uses certain things for like, you know, he'll use them as cred, right? But how are you a music major and you don't understand music markets? You know what I'm saying? Like music airplay, streams, right? All these things now, it's not the way that it used to be, right? Where you had to be good. Now it's dollars paid for plays, which I mean they had that back then too. But like when you're paying for streams, right? Like online shit to artificially inflate certain things, and it's getting consistently played, ringtones, you know, messages, TikToks, like there's so many different ways to like force this now that of course you can artificially inflate the popularity of something, especially if it's not like entirely a piece of crap, right? Take her words out of it, you know, the beats, the performances, the this and that, you know what I mean? It's that stuff is still catchy, right?
There's no question. And by the way, the Diddy docs, which I found to be a very compelling point, was that Diddy said to the guy, allegedly, who was the producer, that if he was willing to engage in homosexual behavior with him, that he would get him Producer of the Year Grammy.
Of course.
Okay, so what does that tell you? It means that the entire system is artificial. And by the way, this is something that Kanye said 10 years ago, or however long ago it was, when he took the trophy from Taylor Swift and said, like, this is all fake. This is not even based on merit anymore. And that is my point. The industry is not based on merit. It's not based on capitalism. It is based on selling ideas. So it is, who do we want to artificially make the person that every Black girl will look up to, or who they will aspire to? And
so I can definitely understand that, like, maybe award shows can be rigged, or people can think different things about, you know, who's being awarded based on merits for the Grammys or something like that. But like WAP was genuinely, do you think it wasn't genuinely a popular song, or do you think that music execs have the ability to manufacture that desire publicly?
The latter. So if you start playing something tons of times on the airways, and the latter, you can definitely make something popular. There are songs that I don't even like, that I've heard so much that I know every single lyric to. And I'm like, I don't even know how I know every single lyric to this song. But
And I can vouch for that. There are songs that I heard as a child even. You know what I mean? Like songs that I still know all the words to, that I didn't even like and still don't like, right? But you heard them so many times.
It's received this many plays. You put it everywhere. You award the person. You invite them to bizarre circumstance. Like, there's absolutely no reason that Cardi B is invited to sit down and ask questions to Joe Biden.
So
in no scenario, unless you are really making an effort to legitimize this person and to make this person aspirational. Again, this is not an insult to Cardi. I actually think that personality-wise, she's got a ton of talent and she's interesting, and I've said great things about her on Love and Hip Hop, and there are elements of her that make her a star. But what I am saying is that a lot of that is manufactured, and I just don't see how anybody, when looking.
Don't you think it's entirely possible or easily possible? So like, I feel like there's like so many things wrong with this. So one is, why wouldn't competing record labels start pushing talent that's actually popular, that people want to hear? I think that would be a big question. The second thing would be, how can we explain the top-down domination of this type of media?
So before he even goes to the other nonsense that he's talking, okay, as an artist, I've been an artist since 99, right? So 25 years, okay? I've been a music artist. Most of y'all don't even know that. All right, I've played everywhere. I played all kinds of places. I performed on huge lineups, you know what I mean, with other huge artists, right? I've written music that's had releases on record labels, right? So what? So what? Like, who are you? I know I have so many friends that are so much better than me. It's so amazing. and these guys live paycheck to paycheck, just like the rest of us, right? Because it isn't about the music business isn't about how good you are, right? It's not about how well you play an instrument or how well you can sing or write or produce or whatever. It's a popularity contest. It's about who you got backing you, who have you signed with, who have you done music with, you know what I mean? Who do you know? Who knows you, right? So what he's saying right now is totally disingenuous.
Media popularity through all of our reality TV shows, all of our TikTok stuff, all of our YouTube videos, and the music industry. And then how can you explain that all happening worldwide?
Sure.
Like, it feels like that to try to explain this through through people that are exercising control on these platforms would require more control than anybody has ever been able to exercise on any platform ever. And they're doing it like on a multi-country, multi-stage level.
It's just called, it's very easy actually. It's a very basic concept pertaining to governments. They need propaganda.
Yeah, and it's always been that way, right? The newspapers were, all the news outlets were all owned by like 2 or 3 people, right? You know what I mean? That's why they're all reporting the same shit. It's always been this way, right? The largest music companies, right, are in lockstep, okay? Because they got to protect their self-interest, especially after you lose things like VHS or tapes or CDs or records or, and then streaming digital platforms come about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to compete, right? And so it's all about control, manipulation, and, the biggest ones at the top, man, they've been that way for a long time, and it's not going to change. Of course this is a thing. I don't understand what he's arguing.
Hollywood is propaganda. You should, for those of you that are watching this live, go listen to the conversation that Joe Rogan had with Cat Williams, where he talked about all of this. And he said, I know you think that you're being entertained. And this is somebody that comes from inside of the industry. And he starts talking about the Diddy stuff, the idea that in order to climb higher, you kind of have to engage in nefarious behavior, and how he was collecting all of this information, and he was speaking out about what was happening inside of the industry. And he said it is twofold. You might be being entertained, but they are making decisions about what will entertain you. And a great circumstance in which he presented that as evidence of that is transgenderism. And he asked hold on.
Okay.
He asked a question which should be answered. He said to Joe Rogan, and he laughed about it. He was like, a guy wears a dress on the red carpet, okay? And then the media tells you how great he wore the dress. And he's like, he said, tell me one situation where he didn't wear the dress wonderfully, when he didn't wear the dress in a way that was amazing. It's because they have all agreed that this is the narrative. And then he talked about the fact that the record execs also own the publications that are saying that something is amazing or something is not amazing. And that is just plain old-fashioned propaganda. So you don't necessarily need to detach what we're talking about from your concept of what governments are interested in. It's always propaganda.
So I understand Cat Williams has said this. I also understand that Cat Williams was at one point in his life addicted to crack, and I think he's famous for losing a fight to a high school kid.
Look at this. Look, right? This is why, and look at Candace. She's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you're going on now about his personal character, and we're talking about rumor and speculation, right? She just told you, like, gave you solid, straight facts, and he does this. He'll point out other people for doing this, but he does this shit all the time, right? Like, come on, man.
I think this benched his career for a while.
Okay, you can insult him, but it doesn't.
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that I don't know.
2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 = 4.
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that to lean into his testimony, who also we would both acknowledge has a lot to gain by giving incredulous testimony like this, saying oh my God, these crazy things are happening, right? I don't know if I would just say, well, right, he does. The fact that you're talking about him and you're citing him and you know it, right? If anybody else was saying a similar thing, we'd say, well, okay, they're saying this because they have something to gain for it, right? He knows that this is going to be a hot take, and he knows that it's going to go viral if he says it, and he knows he's going to get a lot of eyes on him for it. So I think it's good to call that into question. I think the issue that I have when it comes to the accusation that everything is some top-down level propaganda is I feel like the conversation shifts away from the important stuff, which is why are people attracted to this type of stuff? Why do people vibe with it so much? Why are we replacing traditional, better forms of media or more thought-provoking, I don't know what you would call it, forms of media with this type of stuff? Instead of having conversations about the culture and the society, it's all fixated on some weird top-down plot to control media consumption.
I think you just like to be contrarian, because I don't understand the point that you're making here. Of course.
Wait, hold on, wait. Let me restate that. I'm sorry. The point I'm making is very clear. If I was going to I've got a almost 13-year-old son in a few days. Okay, if I was to see that he's consuming media, my go-to would be like, hey, Nathan, why are you watching this? This is crazy. We need to look at something else. I need to, like, who are your friends? What are you looking at online? Like, we need to change your media consumption habits because this isn't working. I would never think like, I think that the school is involved in disseminating media towards him and there's no way that we can change this. Because I feel like on your side of the story, people are basically like, we're hopeless. There's nothing we can do.
No, it's not hopeless, but if you want to be able to do something about something, you need to be able to acknowledge the something, right?
What you can't
make it sound like it's a conspiracy. It's like, no, when I graduated high school, there wasn't a single trans kid. Now you've got like more than 50% of kids that think that they're other. That is obviously propaganda. Clearly, it's just not possible that you didn't exist. Maybe there was one person, and then all of a sudden everyone is.
Sure, I think it's okay to.
I've said this too, and what's funny is, you know, when you talk to some of the older people, you know, like my parents' age or whatever, some of them are like legitimately like, oh yeah, it was everywhere. What are you talking about? No, it wasn't. Like, you know, yeah, you had gays, which is great, you know, that's fine. Okay, homosexuality, totally fine, right? But like other, right? I identify as a tree. Like, I can be this, I can be 47 different forms or whatever. This stuff didn't exist when I was a kid. When I was going to school, nobody was this. And I was in some of the seediest like situations, you know what I mean? Like, if there was somebody who was going to be like this, we would have known about it because we would have been making fun of them or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, this is what kids used to do, right? And it's very hard to hide something like that, right? And if you even one, again, the only time I ever heard, and I don't want to like offend nobody with this word because apparently it's offensive, but I'm not trying to, you know, I'm just telling you. So when I was a kid, we would see movies sometimes with like, they were in Vietnam, I think, or, you know, Thailand or wherever, and they would have lady boys, right? I can't even remember, you know, you get those war movies or whatever, and they're on like leave, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden guy runs into a situation and it's a whole fiasco, right? So like that existed. I remember that, but I don't know one single person, my entire childhood in the United States, right? Growing up, that identified as any of this all the way up until, and I'm sure it was before this, but I'm just telling you my personal experience. The first time I ever heard anything like this was I don't know, like late 90s, probably late 90s. That's what I'm gonna say is late 90s.
That can only happen through propaganda, right? They're suddenly being told it's an option. They're kids, right? You want to experiment and you want to be different. You're looking for a way to stand out. And so you hold on. And in the classrooms, you've got teachers that are reinforcing this narrative that is, yes, top down, right? It's like Hollywood.
And that's exactly what I was about to say. And that's why I think it's, you know, if you look at Hollywood families, if you look at like actors and musicians and stuff like that who are like big time, look at their kids now, right? It's like every one of them, every single one of their kids. And what is the likelihood of that being natural? You know what I'm saying? Like, you say what you want, but if every single person in Hollywood has a kid who identifies as other, like, that's not natural. You know what I mean? It's not. It's definitely influenced by, you know, it's cool, or, you know, because if you're normal, you're not cool, right? If you're just normal, straight arrow, like you don't do something, or you don't identify as something, or you're not like somehow special, and like if you're just normal, nobody gives a crap about you, right? And so that's why it's, you know, these things, it's cool now. It's cool to do this stuff.
In lockstep with the Department of Education that is making these options available. If it was natural, like when I graduated high school, there were gay kids. There were lesbian cases. There wasn't a ton of them. It wasn't an identity. That's another thing. The identity thing
the identity
is very new.
An interesting thing. I agree for sure.
And so it shows you who are they emulating? Who are they copying when they do this stuff? Because it's an option. It's just being presented to you. It's obviously not natural if it didn't exist naturally. And
I agree, but culture is a very complicated thing.
Culture is not a complicated thing.
So complicated. I think governments pray that they have the amount of control over culture that you think they do. There's no shot that anybody would be able to top down control that much stuff.
Like I said, there have been a lot of evidence that has come out, whether you're looking at the Jeffrey Epstein case or you're reading through the 72-page document for the Diddy lawsuit that suggests that the government is involved.
Even on the Jeffrey Epstein case, like what's suggesting government involvement here?
Okay. So we're gonna wrap this one up right now. Like I said, I'm gonna cut up a couple of pieces, you know what I mean? It's just because you're gonna see Candace gets she definitely gets triggered, but not in the way that she gets mad at him about she's mad at him about him. She's like, what the fuck am I doing sitting here with this clown? Right? That's what's about to happen. And that's the whole reason I have to laugh about this entire thing. But look, what do y'all think, man? The Diddy lawsuit is crazy, right? And maybe we should look into it. I don't know, but I just feel like, there's going to be so many more. These are just going to keep coming until this dude's under the jail. You know what I mean? Because you only have so much money. You only got so much money. If you've been doing all this craziness, man, it's oh God, it's about to be on. Anyways, I chill with Bill on this one, man. I'm out of here. Peace.